And we're live. It's going good. It's pretty hot down here in Texas. Summer has officially started, so I have weaseled away into my nice air-conditioned home, and it's been fantastic. Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, some cool stuff going on with that. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can import it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's definitely the thing that I've seen the most discussion or complaints about, and I guess it whether you like it or not depends on whether you think it is currently bugged or not. Um, ooh, okay, 1 second. I will turn myself up. All right, that should be some louder now. Let me know if we're good. So yeah, so basically right now they're respawning every couple of hours. Whereas the ratting sites are respawning basically instantly, is my understanding. We did hear from CCP that they would be respawning, quote, faster, but we never got a number. So the way I see it, it sounds like maybe the ratting sites are working correctly and the mining sites are not, or there's somewhere in between that they should both be. But there's some high points and there are low points. So the high point, obviously, you can self-select whatever ore you want in nullsec, which is probably the biggest boon there. Um, and there's this new. This is where I'm getting a little bit out of my depth of knowledge, but there's a new reprocessing of Grimir, um, which gives isogen. Yeah, like you said. So basically, the price on that, it seems to be their best bet if they're just going for ISK. But being able to pick exactly what you need for what you want is good. The bad side is the number of rocks in the asteroids is very, very high. And sometimes less than the amount of ore that you'll mine in a cycle if you're fit well. So lots of micro is what it seems like it's going to involve, which might be intentional to combat multiboxing, is kind of my opinion. Um, so that one is more of a quality life or hassle versus maybe an issue or something not working correctly. Okay, I gotcha. Okay, yeah, I appreciate that.
Take a look at some of the other sovereignty upgrade notes, see if there's other things that we need to hit. We talked about self-selecting ore. New sovereignty system introduces a more flexible and rewarding upgrade path. Unlike the old system where upgrades had to be installed sequentially from one level to the next, the new system allows you to directly install the upgrade level you want. So another little kind of quality of life thing, but also, a real in time and money investment too. Instead of having to go up sequentially, you can just go directly to the level you want. So the example they give is a major threat detection array, level 3. You don't have to install threat detection array level 2 first. You can just go straight to 3. So that's, again, kind of a quality of life change, I think. It says this grants greater control and customization over your infrastructure. Additionally, the new system features faster spawn rates for each signature, which we just talked about, allowing groups to sustain in-space activities with less downtime. I know for myself, I am excited about going yeeting here in the near future because I suspect there will be lots of juicy Isktars out there.
Yeah, and just in case, it seems like maybe my audio is not coming through, but they can hear you. So yeah, that does sound neat, and that will be cool to look into.
Okay. Guest. Okay, yeah. So we're trying to figure out. I think that's happened before with my audio, maybe?
Yeah, which is, I understand why it would happen to yours, not with mine. That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, yeah, no, I just turned the volume on the stream. I hear you through the stream.
You hear me?
I hear both of us.
Oh, I heard. Okay, well then, sick. Because I heard you, so awesome. Thanks, Antonio, for the confirmation.
Yeah, thanks for the heads up on that. We're still newbies when it comes to streaming, unfortunately. So, the last note I have here under sovereignty says to support capsuleers during the transition period, a comprehensive. Sorry, one sec. A comprehensive reimbursement process will be implemented in stages over the next several months, similar to those executed for other major gameplay transitions in the past. Recognizing the considerable investments made in the previous system, this program will reimburse deprecated upgrades, TCUs, and blueprints through a combination of returning material input items, automatically converting some items to the new types, and direct ISK refunds for others. There was something else in there too about structures and being able to unrig certain structures, I believe, but I forgot to copy. I forgot to copy pasta that section of the update notes.
So basically, lots of realignment for what systems are doing and set up to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and so it makes sense that they find some way to. Hang on, I might have to take this. Okay, yeah, no, it's fine. So, let's see. Yeah, that's all I had for the sovereignty announcements and upgrades. Anything you wanted to add on that?
I can't think of anything. I don't know if we have any more news down the pipe coming. I guess we'll see what the final word is on the mining anomaly timing. If it's going to be the same timing as the ratting or not. So we'll see. But I think ultimately, I'm not too phased about it the way it is now. I think it's fine, especially the number of rocks thing. I can get why that might be annoying, but I also think it is a good way to combat botting and kind of stuff. And I think even if it doesn't come out to be premier ISK per hour, I think the self-selection of ore means that's okay. If you can select exactly what you want, it doesn't get to be also the best choice for
the convenience factor is huge.
Yeah.
Especially
you can put it on your back porch, right? So
yeah. I know. I think you make a really good point with that. So, all right. Well, with that, let's talk about Alliance Tournament 20. It got announced. In fact, the tournament's so nice they announced it twice, which was kind of interesting. Did you see both announcements? Because there was the
I saw the second announcement, but didn't dig deep enough to know what that means. But I saw, there's been a Guristas takeover of the Alliance Tournament, basically.
Yeah, so the first one said it was being sponsored by Concord and this and that. And then the next day, there was another announcement saying, nope, it's actually the Guristas.
Hey, I'm here for it.
And it's kind of fun. They had some fun little RP language in there, and it was good stuff. So the Alliance Tournament is coming back, and entry is opening here in a couple weeks. It opens up on July 9th and runs through the 1st of August. And it is, if you want to get your alliance in the Alliance Tournament, you're going to have to pony up for it because the cost to register is 4,000 plex.
Goodness.
At current market prices, that is comfortably over 20 billion ISK. And that's before you pay for any of the ships that you're going to fly. So it might make it hard for some smaller groups to participate. There are ways that CCP has mitigated that, which I think is good. They allow for mercenaries, which obviously I'm partial to for many reasons. But basically, if you're in an alliance that is not participating, another team can bring on up to 10 people in their 40-person team who are part of a non-participating alliance. So even if you're if your alliance isn't going to fly in the tournament, you might still get a chance to.
Yeah.
If you put yourself out there as a merc. So
that's cool.
Yeah, and the Plex cost is up. I believe the former cost was 3,000 Plex. And so my read on that, and I think I saw it discussed somewhere, was basically costing an extra 1,000 Plex is kind of incentivizes people to take things more seriously. Make sure people are showing up for matches, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so and then as far as teams go, the actual Alliance tournament itself will be 32 teams. 4 of those got automatic invites based on their finish in the last Alliance tournament, which was sponsored by the Galente Federation, I believe. And the other 28 slots, there's basically there's a feeder tournament that's going to happen that determines who gets those other 28 spots in the final tournament lineup. And those details are not available yet of what that feeder tournament's going to look like. Which makes sense. They're waiting to see, how many entrants they get, basically.
Yeah.
And then they'll structure the tournament based on that. So
that's
that
cool.
makes
I like that
sense.
a lot.
Yeah. So CCP is asking for something else that's new, I believe, is that CCP is asking for alliances to appoint a spokesperson who must be in the alliance but not on the tournament team. So this stuck out to me as a content creator, because it's a great opportunity for someone who wants to dip their toes into getting involved in EVE content, because you're going to be on CCP's stream. So they're going to be handling the technical and the back end and that sort of stuff, but get a chance to get your voice out there. I'm looking forward to some role play, hopefully, from these spokespeople.
That would be pretty cool.
On a similar vein, commentator and analyst applications have opened as well. So every year that there is every tournament, I should say, CCP has a team of commentators and analysts, both for the initial rounds of the tournament, and then there's a team that I was reading, they are once again going to fly the actual finals weekend team out to Iceland in order to do the commentary and analysis for Alliance Tournament 20. If folks are at all interested, I highly recommend applying. I've talked about it a little bit on this program before, but my participation as a commentator and analyst for Alliance Tournaments 6 and 7 led, not directly, but played a major role in what became my career in broadcasting and podcasting. Mm-hmm. So it's a wonderful opportunity. Getting to go to Iceland was fantastic. Getting to hang out at CCP headquarters, which is not where it was, I don't think, anymore. But I highly recommend people take a look at that, and it's just a lot of fun too. So if you're at all, I've thrown my hat in the ring. We'll see what happens, but yeah. So as for the tournament itself, there have been quite a few rules changes, and I'm not going to go into all of them, not in this video. We did the document explaining it all is many pages long. But basically, we often bring up wargaming on this show, and the way you assemble your lineups for each round of the tournament is not dissimilar to the way you'd put together an army or a warband for a lot of miniature war games. So you have a number of points that you're allowed to spend on your ships, up to 10 of them. And this time they've increased the number available to 200, and they've also increased the cost of a lot of ships. But in doing that, they've made it a lot more granular. So ships that are of the same class might be 1 or 2 points, or even 5 points in some cases, more expensive or less expensive than their counterparts. And so it's gonna. My hope is, and the plan is, that it encourages more creativity in setups and that sort of thing. I think it would be great if we got some shakeups in the meta. There's also obviously restrictions. You can only bring, I think, up to 4 of a single hull. There's also bans involved, kind of a very esports style.
Oh, I do like that.
Yeah, and they've changed the way the bans are going to work. So it used to be, I think, that the bans all got submitted beforehand. Well, and they'd still get submitted before the match, but now they're doing it in 2 rounds of 2 bans for each team. So each team submits their first 2 bans, and then those get, told to the other team, and duplicates get repicked, I think, in the first round. And then in the second round, based on the knowledge of what's been banned in the first round, you make your second round of 2 bans. So there's a little bit of, some strategy that can go in there.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to be sad about the, max 4 of a hull, but if you're introducing bans, you kind of have to do that, or else you just ban what they brought.
Well, and when it comes to how they classify ships, Logi, Logi of all flavors, are kind of their own category. They don't fit. Yeah, it's not. They're not handled the same way that other ships are. So there's a lot of nuance in the rules. I don't want to get too deep into it because, like I said, we'd easily be here all day for something that is a relatively niche topic. So
I did mention it last time. And I went back and looked up what it was. There was a match in 2007. It was Bob versus Star Fraction, and Bob lost to Star Fraction, who brought 10 Thoraxes. And they had, super meta team and all that, and
Which tournament was that? You said 2007.
It doesn't have the number. The video's dated 2007. I don't know if maybe that.
I think that was the year before. I think that was the year before I went.
But stuff like that is fun. But I do like the idea. So you said each team gets 200 points. Is that total for the whole team, and then for each match they decide to win the field? Does each match have its own smaller?
Each match. So each match is 200. Okay. And so with bans and stuff being in there, all the bans happen, and then you've got, a limited amount of time to actually bring what you're going to bring.
Okay.
So what they're saying is, you need to have basically a lot of different potential setups ready to go in case you get something banned out that's a linchpin to one of your setups. Well, we obviously can't do that.
Yeah.
So, we need to bring plan B or plan C or what have you. So,
that's cool. I really like that. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, it's a fun little layer of meta strategy, which I really enjoy. And so, even if I don't get a commentary or analysis spot, I'm gonna pitch to be the Templess spokesperson.
There you go.
So I'll still get to participate somehow. Though actually now I might if I don't get a commentary spot, I might actually just fly in the tournament. Because I did do that, and I forget, it might have been AT6, because there wasn't a rule against it at the time. I don't know if there is now either, but I actually flew in one of the tournaments that I was.
Oh, while you were commentating,
yeah. We lost. MC did not do well that year. We'd been on contract for a long time, didn't have a lot of planning, and there are theory crafters and folks who put countless hours into coming up with all these different strategies and all these different loadouts, and it's its own kind of meta in a lot of ways, and I think it's super cool, and I'm glad it's back.
Yeah.
All right, so more notes on AT20. If your alliance is going to participate, I recommend getting involved. If you have an opportunity, rosters can include up to 40 people. So there's a decent chance that you can get a spot on the tournament team, even if you don't have 100 million or 200 million skill points. Or a ton of PvP experience. Even just being able to practice with the team will give you a huge amount of small gang experience, because that's essentially what it is. And it's contrived, and it's not a quote unquote realistic combat scenario most of the time, but a lot of the fundamentals of PvP are extremely important in the tournament. Things like positioning, timing of your modules, all that sort of stuff, it kind of gets magnified in importance. So it's a great learning opportunity. If your alliance is going to get involved, I highly recommend applying to be on that team, unless you're going to be the spokesperson, because then you can't be on the team apparently. So let's see. There's new ships included. Obviously, we've had some expansions, which means new ships, including the Squall, which I was happy to see. The Squall, I think, is 4 points, and so which makes it 1 point more expensive than the Battle Badger. So we'll see. Is the Battle Badger obsolete? We'll find out.
We'll just see if there's another passive hot fixes on the Upwell freighters before people get to theory crafting too deep. Because there were some wild numbers I saw before that hot fix came out. So
it got hot fixed and then it got hot fixed again. I think it's in a fine spot. I have both. So I don't know if I mentioned this last week. Yeah, I have both a Torrent and a Deluge. I love them both. They are, I feel like they were almost made for wormholers. Those two ships, they're fantastic for wormholers.
Yeah, just getting around way faster and way safer.
Yeah. Yeah, if you've got hyperspatials on a deluge, its warp speed is like 11 AU per second. It's twice as fast as a frigate, almost.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. It makes PI a lot faster. All right, so that's. I think we'll obviously talk a lot more about the tournament as it gets closer. I'd love to have some guests on to talk about the tournament as well, because obviously it holds a special place in my heart, and I'm a huge fan. So, anything else on the tournament for you?
No, I've never really sat down and watched one before, so I'll definitely tune in this time. And I'm excited. Do the sponsorships mean anything, or are they all fluff?
The ads, you mean?
The whoever's sponsoring the Alliance tournament, yes, it's Grissus
no,
this time.
it does mean something. It often determines prizes. It can affect cost of ships.
Oh, okay.
When the Concord announcement came out, they were like, oh, certain Concord ships are going to have a reduced price, cost, and pirate ships are going to cost more. And then when the second announcement came out that says no, it's the Guristas, then Concord ships got more expensive, pirate ships got cheaper.
Awesome.
And then there's the prizes are often based on the theme of whoever is sponsoring. So like way back in the day, the Golden Magnate, I don't know if you're familiar with it, it's often unique ships. So the Golden and Silver Magnates were some of the earliest, maybe the earliest Alliance tournament prizes. So, and it's always fun when those explode. So, let's talk a little bit about one of the more interesting sales I've ever seen, and that is the Omega Plus multi-character training deal. And basically what this is you pay, it's in the nest, so you pay Plex, and you pay a bit more than you would pay under normal circumstances for Omega, but you also get 2 MCTs per month of Omega that you're buying, and at a huge discount.
Yeah.
And what I like about this, so if you were to go all the way to the top, it costs 4,000 Plex. It's 22, 23 billion ISK. You could literally enter the Alliance tournaments for what it costs. So that's obviously going to be out of most people's price range, unless you're space rich. But even if you go down to like the 1 month and 3 month levels, the deal is just about as good. It's obviously not as good, but you're still getting a huge discount. So like for me, all I could realistically afford with the liquidity I had was 3 months on one of my 3 months and 6 MCTs for like 1,350 Plex. But that's a huge deal. That's an amazing price. If you're at all interested in skill farming, or if you just want to train up other alts on the same account. Like I got it on Crovan's account, my main account, and the other 2 characters on there basically just have Galente Hauler 1 and their PI skills. Well, they live in a wormhole now, so I need to get them some scanning skills. I need to get them able to fly, a rolling praxis, stuff like that. And now I can do that without pausing training on Crovan for 3 months basically, which is great.
Yeah, I always feel like I'm one step behind on these like skill point economy sales, but it did pique my interest, like you said, just for the fact of the most skill points per month I can get on one account for things that I want alts to be able to do. So PI, scanning, hauling, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely going to grab a pack for sure. Yeah,
it's worth it. So, and you mentioned something interesting there, which is the skill point economy right now. It's weird. So, last week, large injector prices dipped not super far below 900 million, but I think I saw them get as low as like 880, 875, which is pretty low because those prices tend to be rock solid on the injectors.
Yeah.
The extractors, meanwhile, have been, going to the moon. They're up over 570 million now, which, again, if you hit that sale when it was 2 for 1 and they dropped to 400 million, you are now space rich. Congratulations. Yeah. I had some, and I made a couple billion on ones that I'd held on to, but it's wild. So it'll be interesting to see what the combination. So the margins now are not huge for large skill injectors. And now with so many more skill points coming into the game from the same number of accounts, I think there's going to potentially be additional upward pressure on extractors and downward pressure on injectors. So that margin might shrink.
Okay.
But like I said, I've put all my potential skill farms are still training, but right now I'm just training them to do useful things, and I might just say, okay, well, instead I'm going to train these characters who would be skill farming. Instead, they're going to be able to research BPOs. They're going to be able to do reactions.
Yeah.
They're other kind of semi-passive forms of income. So, yeah, big sale, and definitely worthwhile if you have the means to do so. Let's talk a little bit about Air Daily Rewards. We discussed this around the time Equinox dropped, and I think I was definitely of the opinion, I think you were as well, that it's like, it's a cool idea, encouraging people to get out there and actually undock and do things, which I think is great, but it's not, we need to iterate. This is already an iteration on the old skilling spree and stuff like that with the Air Daily Rewards, but we need to iterate again because now we're tying it to things that people used to just get. So I did manage on one of my characters, who is training up to basically be the best little Gila pilot he can be. I managed to complete all 12 days, even with only having half the month to do it.
Okay.
And sometimes it's super easy. But sometimes it's not. And we've discussed before how there are some tasks that, depending on where you are literally impossible unless you basically go back to Empire.
Right.
The takeaway I'm getting right now is if you're in high sec, they're almost always very easy.
Yeah.
Manufacture an item. Okay, well, you throw one run of a small ammo blueprint in and you're good. 50 LP, literally run a level 1 mission and you're fine. But if you're in nullsec, loyalty points can be difficult. Killing non-capsuleers is almost never difficult, even if your character is not combat oriented. Mining is almost never difficult if you're willing to actually get into a mining ship and do it. I would never. It's been a long time since Crovan has been in a ship with a mining laser on it. Let's just put it that way. The days of my mining thorax in Amar Lowsec are long behind me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think some of the goals could be made more generic. The data sites in drone regions was one that came up that I saw. But the scan signatures one is there too. And so maybe, you take the scan signatures one, but maybe bump it a little bit. Because right now it's just scan 5 signatures.
Right.
Well, the easiest way in the universe to do that is go to a career agent system, because there are dozens of signatures in there that are intentionally super easy to scan because they want new players to be able to do it. So you just drop probes, hit scan, Bob's your uncle if you've got decent scanning skills. So, but that won't get you the wormhole one. So, I do think ultimately it was a good change. I just think we need that CCP needs to take a look at how achievable those goals actually are, and it would be amazing if there was a way that they could adjust it based on, and I think maybe one of the easier ones would be if you're enlisted in faction warfare, they could change things based on that.
Yeah.
Because one of the Soldier of Fortune is to capture a Plex. Well, if you're not in faction warfare,
yeah, exactly, you absolutely can't do that one.
And maybe that. No, I think it does appear. Yeah, I've seen it appear on tunes that are not in Gurmil. So, there's just some tweaks that I think can and should be made. But overall, I'm happy with it. I'm excited to see where they can take it, basically.
So you get 4 a day, is that right?
Correct. And you only need to do 2. And you need to do that 12 days a month.
Okay.
So when you've got a full month, even if you get a few bad days, it's not the worst thing in the world. And, you're missing out on 5,000 skill points, but, while that is nice, it's not a huge amount.
Yeah, you might just be living somewhere where it's more important that you do them on certain days versus, doing whatever 12 days you want to do. You have to look and see which days you have ones that you can do.
Yeah, that would be handy because everybody gets the same ones every day, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. See, Sutonia says, wish they did something like earn 50 activity points, and then you get activity points by doing a variety. I think that would work too. Yeah. I think it would, simplify things potentially quite a bit. And because basically you wouldn't have to re-roll things. Things aren't getting re-rolled every day. That's another option that I've seen suggested is, hey, what if we just got to re-roll what our assigned tasks were? So, but yeah, no, I think the activity tracking would be a good solution.
I think as long as it was still cordoned off to different gameplay areas, because at least the part of it that I like about the current system is it makes you go and think about doing other different things versus if we just have base points, you just figure out the most efficient and fastest way to get points and just do that. But if there's a little bit more categorized, I think that would be cool.
Yeah, no, that's fair too. That's fair. But yeah, no, it's gotten me it's gotten me to undock characters in the reef and go exploring that I otherwise probably wouldn't have.
Cool.
So, I mean, it's working. It's achieving at least part of its stated goal. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's just better ways they could do it. I like Sutonia's idea. I like your idea. So, all right. Well, anything else we want to talk about for daily rewards?
I don't think so.
All right. I've talked a ton this episode, so we're gonna let you start with stuff we like.
All right. So speaking of things that don't normally do in EVE, I have been looking into starting to get into some industry stuff. And I know in the past you mentioned StrangeNet, which has some really good videos. I'm going to highlight a video from Jakeleet, which is basically how to avoid manufacturing at a loss. You can kind of get in the weeds on what is the cost of mining your own ore, what is the cost of the blueprint, buying, selling, fees, all that. So he basically gives a very good layout of the different things to check to make sure that while you're making something in industry, are you actually making it for a profit and what things to watch out for? So it's basically one step above how to manufacture an item and is how to profitably manufacture items. So it's a really good video to go check out if anyone's new to the basics of market and or industry things, because I'm still learning quite a bit as well. But yeah, it was really well laid out video.
I think I've seen that one actually. Yeah, no, and I agree. So, yeah, Jakeleet does a lot of industry and mining-based content, right? Am I thinking of the right person? Yeah. Cool. Well, my thing I liked this week also comes from the wonderful land of Reddit. And it's a story. And it's a lovely story. It's called A Tale of Torrents, How the First Torrent Lived and Died. And it was by user Imicus Navy Issue. And I mentioned earlier that I'm now the proud owner of an Torrent, and I think it's a great ship, but I waited a while to buy one. One, because there was no sense in buying it before I had Upwell Haulers 5, and I didn't want to inject to get to Upwell Haulers 5. I did end up using a cerebral accelerator, but that's a lot cheaper than an injector. So this is a lovely story with some screenshots of Discord and the market and Zkill of the building of the very first torrent that got sold in Jita, which I think we remarked on the show a couple weeks ago.
We did,
promptly died in Abazon. So, yeah, it's just a really fun read. It was a few guys from Aderon Robotics, which I was briefly a member of Aderon Robotics the last go around when I was in Galmill, and then ended up moving over to Percussive Pizza Time Diplomacy. But yeah, it's just a really good recounting of how they made, frankly, a filthy amount of money by being on top of the expansion. And I think they said that the profit count was like 17 billion and counting since Equinox dropped from making the Squall, the Deluge, and the Torrent. I might have bought mine from them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Though the Torrent I actually got on a buy order, so probably not. The Deluge I had to buy off a sell order because the prices got too close together and it wasn't worth having a buy order anymore. Basically, yeah. So yeah, that was the thing I liked this week. Is a fun story on Reddit and not just whining, which is what usually happens there. So let's see stuff we're working on. You and I have both been pretty busy IRL. There was actually someone was I think joking in the Noir Discord that it's like, man, the recruitment's dried up a little bit. Should we tie Crovan and Tharus to their editing to their editing computers? We are both working on things. I think I mentioned last week. I am working on a video about semi-passive means of making income in Eve. That script is getting big. So I am actively working on it, but I think I'm going to have to either trim things down, maybe break it into separate videos. I'm having to reassess my strategy on that one.
Yeah, and I've got some more Don't Panics on the way. So someone mentioned in the comments on one of the previous, or on that video, that we should do it for our namesake, the Drone Bay, on. So Don't Panic on drones. So I think that's probably what we'll do next, because they're pretty straightforward, but they have some tips and tricks that can save you some ISK and win you some fights too. So
hotkeys, boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what I think we might have. I don't know if you've mentioned it on the podcast, but we're like, God, we could do a whole series on hotkeys.
Yeah, not the most engaging thing in the world, but they are very useful.
Useful. Yep, indeed. It's all about hitting that the search related content instead of the browse related content, exactly. Right? To get a little inside baseball with YouTube. Cool. Let's see. And yeah, I don't have a thing of the week this week, but if you've got a thing of the week that you would like us to talk about next week, drop it down in the comments, and we'll either live or on the VOD. So. And we'll take that into consideration for what we're going to talk about for next week's Thing of the Week. Before we let y'all go, I want to remind you that Noir is recruiting. Noir is a very fine mercenary corporation. I guess we could talk a little bit about the contract, because Alec talked about it. So we were on contract here pretty recently, and I was only able to really participate in one of the big fights due to real life commitments. Same. But it was fun. We were in the same fight together.
Yeah, we kind of David versus Goliath situation, and we kept an even ISK engagement when we were 2 or 3-ish times outnumbered. So I'll take that.
Yeah, solidly 3 times.
Yeah, very solid FCing from Alec. Really got us through that one. So that was awesome.
Yeah, we did. We got a little greedy and lost a couple ships when we got greedy and went after a Napoc that looked like it had been abandoned, but then everybody showed up to help him, and then we were in trouble. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I love that asymmetric style of gameplay, and when you're going up against certain organizations, it's kind of inevitable.
Yeah.
So, so the contract transition from high sec to low sec. The low sec side of things ended up going very well. So from my understanding is the client's happy, and our guys got to have a lot of fun. So if you want to be part of that fun, there is a link to the Noir Discord down in the description of this here video. You can go in there, say hi in the public discussion section. Tharus and I both hang out in there. A lot of the Noir guys pay attention to the public discussion. So if you give a wave or say hi in there, somebody will respond fairly quickly, unless, I don't know, our AU time zone isn't super strong. But I'm often up during AU times just because Alaska's weird. But it's a
very active Discord, so definitely pop in and say hi.
So and then let's see. Oh, there's also the in-game channel, Cafe Space Noir, NOIR . So there is an in-game channel. There's also I remember what I forgot. And I think we mentioned it last week. There is a Drone Bay channel in-game, the Drone Bay, 3 words. And I'm in there either on Crovan or often on one of my alts if I'm hauling things around or doing other PvE stuff. I do a lot of logistics these days, so and then you're in there typically whenever you're on. So yeah, you can come if you want to come talk to us. The Drone Bay in-game channel is available to you, and then or you can if you've got suggestions for the show. Obviously, the comment section is there for you, or you can email thedronebay@gmail.com. Anything I'm forgetting, Tharus?
I think that's all of our social media nuptials done. Like and subscribe. It does help a lot. Genuinely, it does.
It really, really does. Yeah, it helps feed the algorithm. So big thank you. We got off to a rocketing start because I did some algomancy with Capsuleer Day But we're still steadily growing, and a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed or even just watches the videos. Huge thank you to all of you. Yeah, I think that's all I've got. So until next time, good hunting.
All right, stream is done.